very good morning and welcome to Smart Mints Business. It's the 31st of March, definitely coming to the very last day of the month. And of course, it's quite a very cold and a little bit rainy morning. Definitely, it kind of disrupts everything like you really anticipate. Probably, for those personals, most especially that have really very tight schedules, but definitely that is something that that is just part of life. It's always just part of life. Well, hell, so how is everything moving? How's the business really moving in there? Of course, I understand, majority of you, it's the end of the week. That's the time when
And then we are going to divert vehicles from the bridge of Ginger. The heavy trucks that are coming from Mombasa will be diverted to Katosi, and we're working immediately after this meeting. I'm going to meet the leadership of the police and others. Divert the trailers to Katosi, and then they come to Mukono, so that we can allow, because what has been happening, Madam Chair, the road is so busy, even with the enhanced resources to Enago, they are unable to do the job effectively, because it is being competed for by traffic that is coming from the coast going to the countries that you have named, and also within the country. So if we diverted the heavy traffic that comes through the Katosi Road, then joins from this side of Mukono, it will a great deal allow this team to go, and we have directed them to up their capacity a bit and be able to do the work very effectively within Mabera and those other adjacent places as quickly as possible. We will communicate to the country the duration that we are going to take when we have diverted. We are also going to divert some vehicles to come through Kayonga and then come to Gayasa, as you have correctly observed.
It meant to make sure that we work on all roads, but above that we shall always consider Ginger Road to be a priority road. And on several occasions, you have been in Parliament as a ministry and assure the MPs as they raise this under matters of national importance that you are solving the jam problem and even the road condition of Ginger Road. Mr. Minister, I don't know even whether you remember the number of times
Joram, we shall be sharing in more light regarding this very matter and having further discussions regarding that. Well, now away from that, let's take a look at what's really happening. That is in the print media. What's really making business headlines? That is in Uganda, and of course, on my soft copy in here. When I review the Daily Monitor, I get to see that there is a report that says tourism arrivals returning to the pre-COVID-19 numbers. Now, according to him in here, we get to realize that according to the report which was released, it noted that during 2022, there were about 814,000 international visitor arrivals recorded, which represented an increase that is of 59% from negative 47.8% registered in 2021. Now, the increase comes at a time that is after the international arrivals had fallen sharply, that is resulting from the COVID-19 disruptions, which saw numbers decline, that is to 473,000 compared to close to 1.5 million, that is in pre-COVID-19 area. Now, the increase, according to the report, noted that the increase mentioned in here generated close to 2.7 trillion shillings, representing a 12.2%, that is of total exports, and 41.4% of service exports. Now, that is very interesting. That is for the stakeholders industry, and of course, recently there has been, of course, proposed additional budget when it comes to tourism. Definitely the first budget draft paper didn't really, of course, the price that was put there, the amount allocated that was put there wasn't really, a little bit satisfactory. But that now, according to the results that we're seeing here, probably if there is a need to increase on, on the allocation in the tourism sector, it would be quite very efficient, because it's one of Uganda's leading forex earners when we come to look into the reality of the aspect in a way. So the budget increase would be something very, very interesting. Now, the report also indicates that international tourists stayed for an average of 7.6 nights. That's roughly 8 nights in the country, resulting to a total of 6.5 million bed nights. That's about 7. However, our friends and relatives provided the largest share of accommodation, which stood at 3.5%. Now, international visitors, the report notes that spent 10 minutes, that is more per day compared to domestic visitors. So that is something of very, very, very great importance. That is to the different personnels that are, that are investing into the tourism industry, those that are participating into it, and of course, there is need to make sure that it's really made to the maximum. Well, still driving in the business, trying to look into the Daily Monitor reports, of course, getting to see what's happening all around, of course, what's happening all around Uganda. But definitely there is also some report here that says Ethiopia confirms mass entry of Ugandans, of course, what they say fleeing the doomsday. That is something very, very well. Just a briefing here. The Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Ugandans belonging to definitely different religious cults in eastern Uganda fled from their villages to Ethiopia during the past few weeks. Well, why are they flowing in there? What is the doomsday? Definitely, you will be checking that out when you get yourself to get into these topics. Okay, and now still in here, we see Uganda unveils, of course, polycarbonate electronic passports. And of course, this is something very revolutionary in a sense. Now we see in here that in an effort to increase travel efficiency and security, the Ugandan government has announced the replacement, that is, of the previous paper-based passports with polycarbonate versions. Now, in a statement, of course, released on the 30th, of course, General Joseph, that is Musanyifu, the permanent secretary, of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, said the upgraded passports will be of higher quality, durability, as well as better data protection and lower risk of damage. Well, of course, with the new digital era, everything is evolving, and we yet to see quite so many amazing innovations, very great importance, and of course easing the work in regards to what we really output. All right, now still in here, we see that the polycarbonate e-passports, actually these electronic passports, are designed to have a strong anti-fraud features, making them suitable for use at e-gates, that is for self-clearance, automated boarding pass issuance, and quick passenger processing, that is around the world. Now they have electromagnetic chips and have personal data engraved inside, that is the deeper layers of document with lasers. Now they also meet the standards, of course, advised by the International Civil Aviation Organization and the East African Community, and of course according to the officials. Now this is more of taking a look at the new vision right now, we see that standards authorities want uniform tests. That is for African products. Now that is something very interesting. Now, if I review a report in here, it says that the move to harmonized standards is part of efforts to increase, that is intra-trade, and reduce tendencies of international markets to reject, that is African products, and of course due to standard disparities. Well, that's what's regarding that matter in there. Well, exactly 20 minutes past 7, and definitely now we're heading straight to get to take a look at what's happening. Definitely that's the Ntinda Bukoto route. Of course, taking a look at the vehicles coming in all that side, trying to get to the different destinations. That is something very, very remarkable. And of course, it's quite a thick lane in there. So for the people that are coming in from those areas, you get to realize that, and on such a rainy day, which has affected almost every aspect, looking at the transportation, it's quite very, very, very congested in a way. But definitely in that way, you will be able to probably find other alternatives which could be the best for you to reach in time. But the Ntinda Bukoto route, it's quite, you can see it's quite a thick, heavy fleet of the vehicles stretching all the way from there. But definitely the traffic officers are doing whatever it takes to ensure that they keep the traffic in control. So that is the situation. Let's take back all the way to the junction, to the fast traffic lights. There are two sides. There is a fast junction on the Ntinda Bukoto route, and there is another so you can take a look. And now taking a look at the vehicles that are coming in from town and they're heading towards Ntinda, Bukoto, that area, you get to realize that it's kind of free for the people, actually for the people that are coming in from town heading to the different destinations. And most of the routes, it's quite okay and very friendly as compared to those that are coming into town, leaving their different other destinations coming to execute business. Now, majority definitely of those vehicles are coming in from the Kira Road, heading towards Ntinda Bukoto. Some are coming in, from that route opposite the Lugogo bypass. Yes, so that is the situation we're observing. Now you can definitely get to see that those vehicles that are coming in, that is from the Kira Road, of course, heading in the other side, quite late free. And now coming in from Bukoto, heading towards the Lugogo bypass. Yes, it's quite. Of course, the Lugogo bypass is always some sort of a free lane of such, but the biggest issue in here is the Ntinda Bukoto route. Remember, these are areas that are residential and at the same time they're business places, corporate areas. Let me say that because there are companies that have headquarters in there, companies that execute their businesses in there, and the people that their residents that still stay there, and definitely it explains why we see the situation in there. Now, those are the vehicles coming in from the Ntinda Bukoto, heading to the Lugogo bypass, of course, heading to the different destinations. Some are heading towards Nakawa, of course. Some are heading to, so many destinations. Majority Nakawa, Bugolobi also being one of the destinations. Some connecting in all the way to Luzira, of course, passing via that route. So from those areas, you'll get to realize that you will be a little bit delayed, according to what, most especially if you're coming from Ntinda Bukoto and you're heading towards town, or you're heading towards Nakawa, you're heading towards Bugolobi, because the Lugogo bypass tends to be quite, creating a shortcut in the way. Now, looking at the route that is opposite the Lugogo bypass, of course, in most cases, it's not really so congested on so many occasions, according to the different observations. But definitely, of course, those are people that are coming in still from the different areas, are coming in to execute the businesses, and you see they're in position to be lead free. Yes, and of course, on such a rainy day, which we anticipate that probably it could affect, cause lots of transportation. Yes, it seems probably it's not as congested as we had anticipated. We had expected more than this to some extent. So that is what we are observing in there. Quite a few, of course, we see school students using those very routes, and they are quite often because there is a school nearby, and they cross the roads, and the vehicles have to be kept on hold regarding that. Though not so many pedestrians, the pedestrians which are forming the biggest percentage, making sure that everybody goes to execute what they ought to execute in the allocated time. And the traffic officer definitely on the roundabout there on the junction, doing whatever it takes to ensure there is efficiency in the movement of the vehicles, and of course it's on the traffic lights in full control of this very congestion. It's of course it's under control of the traffic officer. Ntinda Bukoto is quite very congested actually. Yeah, quite. So for the residents that are coming in there, you could probably try other alternatives to make sure that you can reach your desired destination in the appropriate time, in the allocated time. Well, that would be something of a great deal for you, because you need to reach in time, as compared to people that are going to use the very junction and they're coming from the different destinations. It's all the way thick actually. It's like it's really very hard for you to find a place where that lane is empty, where the Ntinda Bukoto route is empty. It's always, of course, congested in a way in there. And of course, the traffic officer making sure that all is put into order. Well, 27 past 7, and let's get into a short commercial break. When I return, we shall be having what's happening around East Africa and the international scene at large. Good morning.